The following program is not a New Channels production, and New Channels has no responsibility for the content or opinions expressed therein.
In the interest of open government, we are proud to present tonight's broadcast of this month's Oswego County Legislative Meeting, brought to you in part by Northern, the family of companies, meeting your needs from asphalt to concrete in Oswego and all of Central New York.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Chesbro.
Here.
Church.
Here.
Block. Tabor.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Turner's here.
I found Turner.
At this time, I will ask the legislator chair to lead us in an invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Keep us, O God, from pettiness. Let us be large in thought, in word, and in deed, and let us be done with fault-finding, and leave off self-seeking. May we put away all pretense, and meet each other face to face, without self-pity and without prejudice. May we never be hasty in judgment, always generous. Let us take time for all things. Make us to grow calm, serene, and gentle. Teach us to put into action our better impulses, straightforward and unafraid. Grant us that we may realize that it is the little things that create differences, but in the big things of life, we are as one. And may we strive to touch and to know the great common human heart of us all. And, oh God, let us not forget to be kind.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got the letter about the meeting, and they got to hold it on the same day.
If there are no additions or corrections to the minutes of the last meeting, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. At this time, I would like to ask Gary Roth of the Labor Council, if he would please come forward, who would like to address the legislation.
As Frank said, my name is Gary Toth. I'm a resident of Mexico. I'm also a proud 16-year member and recording secretary of Carpenters Local 747 in Oswego, and also president of the Oswego County Labor Council. I just want to let you know I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you today and speak. First of all, on behalf of the Oswego County Labor Council, I would like to thank Frank, Administrator Art Osbelt, and all the legislators and everyone else involved in recognizing April 28th as Workers' Memorial Day. The reason April 28th was selected as Workers' Memorial Day is it coincides with the enactment of the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. This historic and important piece of legislation set the safety standards for the workplace to protect the American worker. The tradition of paying tribute to the men, women, and even children of this country who at risk sacrifice their health to disabling and even fatal diseases and injuries to build this great country is especially important today. We have made great strides from child labor, from the sweatshops, from the toxic work environments and the hazards of the industrial and construction occupations. The one thing we must remember is we must not forget where we came from and renew our efforts to maintain safe work environments and also explore new areas that may cause injury to the American worker. And secondly, I've been president of the Labor Council for a few months now, and there's one question that's constantly asked of me, and that question is, what is a Labor Council? And I'd like to take a second to explain what it is. The Oswego County Labor Council is a local AFL-CIO organization that includes affiliated unions who are based in Oswego County or whose jurisdiction covers Oswego County. At present, we have 40 affiliated unions and approximately 30,000 members. The Labor Council is your children's educators, the teachers of the 9 school districts, 10 counting BOCES, and also the United Professors at SUNY Oswego. The Labor Council of the private industries, the workers at Armstrong and Nestle's. The Labor Council is Niagara Mohawk, the utility workers who make Oswego County the greatest energy producer in the Northeast. The Labor Council is the public employees, the civil service and AFSCME, the workers who do the everyday tasks we take for granted. The Labor Council is the construction and building trades, the carpenters, steam fitters, laborers, operating engineers and electricians, the workers, the true builders of this great county, who were recently featured in the April-May issue of the Oswego Business Magazine and were also the recent recipients of the Beltwell Award presented by the Oswego Chamber of Commerce for community service. The Labor Council is also the service industry, the minimum wage workers who labor in the hotels and restaurants, and led by their fine agent Anne-Marie Talercio. The Labor Council is a collection of all these outstanding rank-and-file members, and together we profile the working men and women of Oswego County. Each affiliated union has its own elected representatives and board members who direct their day-to-day operation. My role as president and the purpose of the Labor Council is to provide a forum for all affiliated unions to meet each month and to discuss the issues and legislation that would enhance organized labor collectively. Thank you again for the proclamation, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today.
The clerk of the legislature will now read Workers' Memorial Day proclamation.
Whereas every year more than 10,000 American workers are killed on the job and tens of thousands more are permanently disabled, and whereas millions are injured and another 100,000 workers die from cancer, lung disease, and other diseases believed to be related to toxic exposure at work, and whereas concerned Americans are determined to prevent these tragedies by organizing Workers' Memorial Day on April 28th, a day chosen by the unions of the AFL-CIO as a day to remember these victims of workplace injuries and disease, and whereas as Americans we should renew our efforts to seek stronger safety and health protection, better standards and enforcement, and fair and just compensation, and whereas we should rededicate ourselves to improving safety and health at every American workplace, now therefore I, Frank R. Church, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature, do hereby proclaim April 28, 1995 as Workers' Memorial Day in Oswego County in recognition of workers killed, injured, or disabled on the job, and ask residents to observe a moment of silence in their honor. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand officially and caused to be affixed the seal of the County of Oswego at Oswego, New York, on this the 13th day of April, 1995, Frank R. Church, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
At this time, I would request that Legislator Chetney and Legislator Murray and their respective committees come to the podium. Murray isn't here.
Economic Development Tourism Committee. Kathy stands for my...
At this time, the clerk.
Is Jerry up here?
Wait, Frank, come in. Come in.
The Oswego County Fair is the fastest growing county fair in New York State and a major tourism event. And 15 years ago, this fair was on the verge of closing. So we'd like to recognize a leader today who had a vital role in keeping this fair and bringing it to where it is today. And we'd like Jerry Thomas to come forward.
Whereas the Oswego County Fair in Sandy Creek is widely recognized as an outstanding recreational and agricultural event attracting thousands of citizens of all ages, and whereas the Agricultural Society of Oswego County will present the 138th Oswego County Fair July 2nd through 8th, 1995 in Sandy Creek, and whereas 15 years ago, after witnessing the fair's decline for several years, a group of concerned citizens asked Jerry D. Thomas to take over the Oswego County Fair, and whereas since 1980, Jerry Thomas and his fellow volunteers have unselfishly devoted thousands of hours of their time to develop a long-range plan and improve the fair and its ground facilities, and whereas the Oswego County Fair at Sandy Creek is now considered the fastest-growing county fair in New York State, and whereas Jerry Thomas has been a leader in many community endeavors, previously served as a member of the Oswego County Legislature, and currently serves as second vice president of the New York State Association of Fairs, and whereas the New York State Show People's Association has named Jerry Thomas the 1995 Fair Person of the Year, now therefore I, Frank R. Church, as chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on the recommendation of the Rural Resources and Extension Committee and the Economic Development and Tourism Committee, and on behalf of the entire legislature, I hereby recognize Jerry D. Thomas for his many contributions to the Oswego County Fair and the community at large, and express our gratitude to him. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand officially and caused to be affixed the seal of the County of Oswego at Oswego, New York, on this the 13th day of April, 1995. Frank R. Church, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature.
Ready? And one more, please.
Thank you. I'd like a chance to say just one word. I know Art's gonna get nervous because you get a politician up here talking, and probably
Don't
worry
worry.
about it lasting.
Go
Well,
ahead.
is it okay, Art?
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
But I appreciate all the recognition, but the honest truth about the whole situation is back in '81, when I got involved with it, I knew there was only one way that we could make that county fair into what my dreams were down the road to make it, which we basically have made it, and that is with everybody working together. And that includes all the legislators of the past, the legislators are here now, all the departments of the county, all the volunteers back home, and all the organizations working together. If there's any lesson to be learned out of it, that is, it shows you what can be done when everybody's working together and pulling together and not going in opposite directions. So I'd like to take this opportunity to especially thank the legislators and all the department heads in this county for their continued support of the fair. Everybody working together is what made this grow. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to call upon Legislator Jarrett and his committee to come to the podium for employee recognition.
Ways and Means?
Good job.
You gotta go, sorry about that. I'll try and smile. Okay? Yeah, we'll go. This is a wonderful moment, especially for Peggy. She loves to be out front. As long as you know, Peggy has been with us officially now for 25, right? But essentially, she's been working for us even longer than that. This is to give her credit for 25 years of very dedicated, honest, very productive service to the county. This is how you know this. But we all want to thank you very much, Peg, for all that you've done. She's so quiet and efficient. It's sometimes easy to overlook people because it just gets done. It gets done right. In an emergency pinch, Peg is there, and it happens. It's just the kind of player we can never get enough of. And I just want to thank you for all of that. Say she was 12 when she
Thank you. As long as Tommy wouldn't talk to me for the first 5 years.
At this time, I would ask Legislator Ed Sahaski and his committee to come to the podium for employee recognition.
Long principle. Which one? Can you see the picture?
First of all, Joy, I want to say to you on behalf of the committee, the department, the legislators out there, you did a fantastic job for us. You're a good worker. I want to thank you. Best wishes to everything you did.
Joy has been with us for 30 years. You're right, she came here when she was about 12. But Joy has had a number of positions within the county clerk's office. She started in our abstract division, which was dissolved in about 79 or 80. Then she came to the front counter and worked faithfully there. And then there came an opening out in the court records area, and she presently is there as an index clerk and has done the county a great job, and we certainly appreciate the county clerk's office. For that many years' experience, there's not many things that happen in the county clerk's office that she doesn't know about and all the legal filings. So again, Joy, we appreciate all the effort you put forth. Thank you.
this time, I would ask Legislator Clay Brewer and his committee to come to the podium for employee recognition.
Robert Kennedy and family, please.
I'm not bad.
She knows what?
We're doing that. They give it after you.
Come on, what?
What you guys do?
Bob, I'd like to present you this certificate. Don Maury isn't here today, which you've worked with, and Art, over the years, Art's probably seen a lot of your time and so forth. Appreciate the services. We appreciate your family showing up today. I want to thank you very much for what you've done for the county. 25 years.
I'd just like to thank the legislators to take time to show their appreciation for the men that do work on the highway, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm proud to work on the highway, and I'm proud that, to be part of it. And this legislator should be proud of the highway department too. Thank you.
At this time, I would ask Legislator Fay Reed and his committee to come forward for employee recognition.
Faye.
Fay Reed.
Linda Rosen. Social services. Social services. Add that you.
I did something about it. I got the wrong man here. I can't even read this. I may have to. Can you hold it out there for me? Appreciate it. You're on. Linda Rosa, in recognition of honorable public service in the employment of Oswego County, presented as an expression of appreciation for dedicated service for the benefit of Oswego County and the welfare of its citizens. I would add a few comments there. Linda is in charge of some of the disbursements of our public assistance grants, and she treats it like it's her money. So it's in your interest that she works with us because she really keeps a tight hold on that stuff. The other thing I would say about Linda is that she's somebody who is always at her desk. When I have a problem and I need something solved downstairs, this is the lady I go to. She was always there. Very seldom is on sick or vacation time. Very dedicated employee, and really appreciate her service.
At this time, I would ask the clerk to make any announcements she may have to make, and I believe she has a proclamation.
Yes, first of all, the Oswego County Bar Association and the Oswego County Legislature are going to invite you legislators, and you'll be receiving an invitation shortly, but they wanted you to mark your calendar so that you be sure and put it aside, to attend this year's Law Day ceremony on Monday, May 1st, beginning at 8:30 in the Oswego County Courthouse located on East Oneida Street, Oswego, New York. It's beautiful. I was up the other day, and the courthouse is just gorgeous. In conjunction with the Law Day ceremonies and in cooperation with the legislature, you'll have the opportunity to view and tour the newly renovated Oswego County Courthouse. Additionally, the Bar Association will be conducting a dedication ceremony in honor of the Honorable John O'Connor Conway and the gift of his portrait, which will be displayed in the renovated courtroom. And your attending would be greatly appreciated by everyone. In your materials today, be sure and look at the invitation you've received for the from SUNY for the second annual dinner. Last year they honored Hollis Island, and this year the honored person is former Mayor Muriel Allerton from Fulton. And the information about the ceremony and the dinner invitation and the RSVP information that you'll need. There's also information about the Office for the Aging annual spring luncheon. Also contained in the material is information from the County Legislators and Supervisors Association about their June conference. And anyone interested in going, if you could please let me know as soon as possible, because we save money if we can register early. They have an early bird registration. So if you think you might want to go, be sure and let me know as soon as possible. There's other material in there. There's also an envelope from the personnel office, and you've got a lot to take home today because we're saving on postage. There's new information about the examination system and employment in general. Jerry Thomas very nicely left us a lot of information about the Oswego County Fair. There's also the on-the-record information from the chairman and a memo in there from Doug Hartman. I think that's almost everything. However, Barbara Brown wasn't able to be with us today. She's ill, and wanted people to know, or the committee to know, that the veterans meeting is canceled for next Monday. I think that's about it, except for one proclamation. The people involved in this were unable to be here today, and we're going to present to them at another time, but they did want it mentioned today. Whereas gardening is the #1 outdoor recreation pursuit in the United States, and whereas Cornell Cooperative Extension of Oswego County trains and employs 35 volunteer master gardeners as consumer, yard, and home gardening experts and educators to meet the gardening education and reference assistance needs of the citizens of Oswego County, and whereas Cornell Cooperative Extension of Oswego County volunteer master gardeners, including Joan Sabula, Polly Knapp, Fernando Ara, Bob Granis, Jane Kurtz, Joyce Mahane, Joe Marabito, Richard Scheck, Irene Becraft, and Lois Jockum represented Oswego County at the 1995 Central New York Flower and Garden Show in Syracuse, New York, and delivered research-based gardening information and knowledge to 14,000 flower and garden show visitors. And whereas in the educational category competition with 16 other well-known and established educational organizations from across central New York, like Beaver Lake Nature Center, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the New York State Federation of Garden Clubs, SUNY Morrisville, the Central New York Orchid Society, the Center for Nature Education, and the Garden Center Association, the Oswego County Master Gardener's Floral and Horticultural Display was judged best of category and awarded the first place ribbon. And whereas the volunteer effort of Cornell Cooperative Extension of Oswego County delivers a valuable and vital educational service at virtually no cost to the Oswego County taxpayer and significantly improves the quality of life in Oswego County, therefore, on recommendation of the Rural Resources and Extension Committee, the Oswego County Legislature cites, praises, and applauds Cornell Cooperative Extension of the Oswego County's Master Gardeners for a job well done. They'll receive this at a later time and will have pictures taken, but they did want it mentioned today because it had taken place. I think that's all.
At this time, I will offer the floor for the introduction of visitors and any members of the public who wish to speak at this time may. Legislator Russell.
Chairman, I'd like to ask Bob and his wife Peg to stand up again. Welcome them, not only for Bob's 25 years, but this is a family of public service. Peg is our postmaster of the town of Williamstown. I'd like to also introduce Bob's mother and mother-in-law, Lillian Kennedy and Mildred Wheeler. Jeff, Andy, and Tom.
County neighbor to their daughters, Jessica and Joanne. I'm sure you've probably seen their faces in the papers throughout the years. They're very, very active in civic organizations, very productive citizens out there, involved in the Girl Scouts awards right and left, not only that, but academically in school, just a very outstanding and very proud mother, I'm sure, for every good reason. And they're very interested in learning about government. As you can see today, they're actively pursuing their education in government. Welcome.
Legislator Enoch. Oh, I'm sorry. Skinner.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce the person from my town, Paul Yustensky.
Else? Are there any petitions, communications, or notices to be presented today? Any reports of town and county officials? Legislator.
Mr. Chairman, I was one of the 10 or 12 legislators that attended the invitation to listen to the good doctor at Valley. And I'd like to report that your statement that we are not a regulatory agency is the proper statement to make. We all sat very quietly and politely and listened to the presentation. We didn't get the county in any trouble. We enjoyed ourselves. When the thing was over, we all left. And I congratulate you on the statement that you made. It is a proper statement. We are presently, to the best of my knowledge, doing all the things that they recommend we do. And I don't know what else we can do. So let's just bear with it, see what happens with the regulatory agencies as they come down and talk.
Thank you, Legislator Frawley, and I hope you get over your cold soon.
I got more than a cold. I think I got...
I guess you're to be congratulated for making it today at all, then.
Well, Barbara Brown, she's a sissy. I'll tell you one thing, if we had a free meal, she'd be here. Sexual harassment.
Any reports of special committees? What's the report?
I just want to make a short statement. I know many of you people are interested in this car committee coming to a close, but presently it's dragging a little bit. But we are proceeding along the lines, and we have a few department heads yet to interview, which we will do Wednesday. Then we will get down to the business at hand. I'd like to make another statement, if I may. I attended the task force meeting yesterday that Pam Davis and Kerry put on for us. And I'd like to say, I think they did, both of them did a great job. Also that their committee, the people on it, will produce what we expect of them. Thank you.
I agree with you in both of your statements.
Mr. Chair, one other thing. It was in the paper about the General Government Committee meeting as regards the possible new committee setups for next year. And I'd like to give them a little advice. Wait till next year to do this sort of thing, because I personally didn't go because it has no bearing on me, and I don't think that my opinion should amount to anything, because I'm not going to be a part of it. The people that have to live with it should be the ones that make that decision. And they should be very cautious in cutting committees too far or having committees with too many numbers on it. I think I can attest in 22 years of experience that a committee that is more than 5 or 6 is too cumbersome and you can't get anything done. And I don't think that a legislator wants to come here at 9 o'clock in the morning and leave here at 9 o'clock at night because the committee that he represents has an umbrella of 5 or 6 different departments. It just isn't sensible. I would go with caution, but I would reserve that decision for the people that are going to sit in these chairs next year and have to live with it. I'd sort of cool it. That'd be my advice.
Thank you for your comments, Legislator Rowley. Okay. Legislator Ward.
I would just like to thank Mr. Crowley for his input.
You're welcome.
Anytime. Input for you.
Okay, I guess we can now proceed with the resolutions. Was there someone else over there want to say something? I thought I saw a hand go up. The first resolution is by legislator Victor.
Pleasure.
Chairman, I offer the following resolution, urge adoption.
Resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of deeds of property sold by the Oswego County Legislature, titles to which were acquired by the tax sales of 1989 and 1990.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Legislator Russell.
I would point out, Mr. Chairman, that on the last item under the town of Williamstown, that we should make a pen and ink change or amendment to scratch out 1108 State Route 13. That's my address, and shouldn't have been put on there.
What's my proper address?
Just RD2.
RD2, just cross out the 1108 State Route 13. Are all in favor of this, as amended, this resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 2 is by legislator Jack Beckwith.
Mr. Chairman, we offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution correcting an error in essential fact on the tax rolls for the town of New Haven.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 3 is by legislator Jack Beckwith.
Mr. Chairman, the Real Property Committee offers this resolution and urges its adoption.
Clerk, please read the heading.
Resolution correcting an error in essential fact on the tax rolls for the town of Schuylkill.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 4 is by legislator Jack Beckwith.
Mr. Chairman, the Real Property Committee again offers this resolution and urges its adoption.
I'll ask the clerk to please read the heading.
Resolution correcting an error in essential fact on the tax rolls for the town of Schuylkill.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 5 is by legislator Floyd White.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
The clerk, please read the heading.
Resolution appointing members to the Oswego County Community Services Board.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Are these all reappoints?
Only 3 are reappoints, and the law changed since the committee was formed, and it was necessary to put on 2 recipients. That would be the 2 ladies.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 6 is by legislator Fay Reed.
Mr. Chairman, to this resolution, I ask for its adoption.
I'll ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution proposing fees for delivery of child support services.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 7 is by legislator Sahaski.
Mr. Chairman, as you see in all legislator, the memorandum attached there, the workload has increased drastically. Much more money is coming into that department. I feel George Williams and his staff is doing a fantastic job with that, and I now offer this resolution and ask for its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution providing for reclassification of position, County Clerk's Department.
Any discussion on this resolution? Legislator Jarrett.
I'd just like to add 2 cents on it. Mr. Chairman, as Chairman of Ways and Means, I just want to remind the legislature the county clerk's office is bringing in more money than is actually costing the local taxpayers. It's a very tremendous feat to accomplish, and I want to applaud the department on that.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Legislation is adopted. Resolution number 8 by legislator Earl Skinner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and move for its adoption.
I'll ask the clerk to please read the heading.
Resolution creating a new position of patrol officer in the office of the sheriff.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 9 is by legislator Boynton.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution in urgency.
Ask the clerk to please read the heading.
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Health Department.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 10 is by legislator Warren Randall.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution as introduction.
Ask the clerk to read the heading, please.
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Youth Bureau.
Any discussion on this resolution? Not? Or any opposition? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 11 is by legislator Clayton Brewer.
I offer the following resolution in urgent adoption.
I ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Public Works.
Any discussion on this resolution? Not? Oh, legislator Chair.
Steve, I shouldn't drag things out too much, but Frank, I think it's just another example here of some of the things that the county is trying to do to try to consolidate things, make them more readily understandable, put them where they belong. It's just, I think, responding pretty much to the cry that just comes from the public, get this thing simplified and much more responsive. I think it deals with that.
Legislator Taylor.
I just had one question. I thought we were under responsibility to return any monies from capital projects into the back to the general fund. I mean, I don't know.
You can turn them, you have an opportunity as a legislator to move them to other capital projects. I mean, you don't have to go back to the general fund if you want. And what they're doing here is taking up what's left or put it for the master plan to continue on in case any more money comes from the state or federal really, they would go on and with a program with another project, if you want it.
How far are we progressing with the other, with the privatization?
No, I don't know where you are at that now. It wouldn't make any difference with this particular thing here. It would be there anyway. And if you sold the airport or done anything with it, just take that out of there and move it someplace else.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Legislator McMahon.
Well, she's brought up privatization, right? Last meeting of that committee, and they're moving along, taking a look at all different types of operations and different scenarios and budget things. So they're right into the thick and thin of that situation, and I would imagine when they get ready, they will bring back some information.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this last resolution? I don't think we adopted this resolution.
No, but is there a reason it's not signed?
Place down when it's signed now.
He's got it signed over there.
I'd like to see that, please.
You think?
No.
Old hand turning operation.
Not that I don't trust you, but you
Bring it up here, Clay.
somebody else might want to.
Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 12 by legislator Van Schaik.
I offer this resolution in urgent adoption.
I'll ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution providing for budgetary adjustments, Department of Employment and Training.
Any discussion on this resolution?
I think,
Legislator Van Schaik.
I just think that the county is fortunate to have the department that we have in Nancy Bello, and each year meeting targets, exceeding the targets, and as a consequence, getting money back to the county. And I hope that we do get this kind of recognition for the fine work that she and her people are doing. That's all.
Legislator Bateman, did you have your hand up?
That's pretty much what I was going to say, but I just want to echo it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Resolution number 13 by Legislator Jarrett.
Mr. Chairman, I present the following resolution and move for its adoption.
Ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution establishing certain capital reserve funds.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Legislator Foley.
Mr. Chairman, the explanation was given to me when we put these funds into, let me get the right word here. Reserves. We have locked that money into that reserve. And at no time can you return this money to the general fund for any reason at all. Is that right or wrong?
Correct.
Well, with that in light, I think we paint ourselves into a corner, quite a restriction to prevent this legislature at any future date to use any reserve monies to offset taxes. And for that reason, I could never, in God's world, ever support this thing. And I would urge the other people that are sitting in this room to think twice before they vote yes on this.
Ed, there's another thing the only reason we brought this forth the way it is right at the present time is because the auditor, we always have a bridge fund and a highway fund, and these funds you're talking about here, and we use them in different projects, the auditor has written us up on that, and that's what we present. Whatever the legislature does is up to them, but that's what we're looking at.
I still don't like the way it locks money.
Right. Your decision.
I'm running up a red flag to the other people. Watch it.
At first, when this came through, I thought it might be a good idea, but I started to read the section in General Municipal Law 6C, and it does lock things in quite steadily to the point you can't use that. It's very interesting what you said. I'd like to see a copy of that auditor's report if we could get one, because I talked to the state auditor, Joe Sarno, today, and he said that they had not written it out for that. They do not endorse reserve funds. He said what it was written up for was having too much money in capital funds, which they consider to be surplus monies. So it was very interesting. If somebody got a copy of that so we can see what they actually did right or what they did do. Or I have a deep concern of blocking all this money up. It's what, about $10 million roughly?
Well, basically, you're right. They, as opposed to saying that you would have to set up a reserve fund, they said that we had too much money in capital projects, which to them, that hasn't been spent, is considered appropriated balance, basically. So that in order to conform with their wishes and not close what we would call reserve funds if you adopt it, we would create these as reserve funds as opposed to capital projects, because we feel that these projects that we're proposing to be named capital or to be named reserve funds are going to be needed for as long as we're in existence, and money will be needed there. So rather than continue to violate their wishes, this is why the recommendation has come forth. But yes, it does restrict the use of funds.
Yeah, because I was talking to him about 6E, which is a tax stabilization,
which is not related
reserve fund, and he says you cannot transfer money in or out. And
These are not 6E. These are not 6E.
I know that, but you want me to finish? Okay. He said you cannot transfer this money out into that fund because, in some of the information that you go through here, it says you can transfer between reserve funds. So I had to get clarification to see if it could. So he did give me the information. But I have some very deep concerns about locking this money up with all these budget situations that we might have. And I think we really should consider this after we get through with our budget, so that we do have some latitude with this if we want to. We've got it committed to various projects. I have no problem with that. We should use it towards that, but we should also have the right to use it in other ways to maybe reduce taxes or to do some other emergency type situation that we need to do rather than going out and borrowing. And when we do decide to vote on this, I would call for a roll call vote. I would urge other legislators.
Legislator Wagner.
On the resolution, it goes 1 through 7. Number 5 and 7, roof replacement reserve and building renovation reserve. All our buildings are new, just about. I can't see where we're going to need any roofs in the future, unless somebody can correct me on that. And building renovations, we've done, they're either new buildings or we haven't renovated them. So, you know, with 5 and 7, I got a problem there. I feel that we don't have to have those there. Thank you.
Legislator Jarrett.
Mr. Chairman, I think to make some points, but also I think you want to keep in mind that the reserve fund program does not require that we put additional money into those projects in any particular year. This is saying the money that we already have dedicated for those specific purposes be continued in a more protected fashion. I know that many of you are aware of the outcry from the people, especially on the state level, when these bridges started falling in particular one issue. What happened to all this money we've been pumping into the state and was supposed to go into some dedicated fund to keep these bridges up, to keep these highways open? We've been paying all these taxes all these years. Now, what's happened? They're falling in because they say they don't have the money. Where did it go? Well, as politics goes, sometimes this money kind of finds other routes if it's available. I think that should be of a primary concern that Oswego County doesn't make the same foolish mistake the state did. We've been very good in Oswego County in maintaining some of these necessary services, putting money away ahead of time and earmarking it for things that we know will be needed in a future date, so we don't run into an emergency situation and have to scamper out and borrow for everything that comes up. It's been a fine policy over these years. I think this continues with that policy. It takes courage to do it, and I applaud those in the past that have done it. I ask this body to have the courage to continue that policy.
Two questions. One, does anybody have available right now the amount of dollars that are in these funds so that we can get a figure? And also, is there any reason why we couldn't vote on these separately? I mean, I see some in here that I could support having reserve funded, and I see some that I would question.
Right now in these projects, there's a total of about $6,700,000.
Would you have a breakdown?
In total, yes.
Could you do that for me? Could you break them down so that I can write it?
I can tell you right now, yeah.
And the bridge fund?
Your reserve has $2,531,000.
Okay, and Bristol Hill landfill?
Okay, I've got bridge fund. Next, let me give you the bridge fund.
What one you just gave me the first one?
That one's already reserved. Yeah, that one's already set up and reserved. The earth is already reserved. The Bristol Hill landfill, project number 24, has $2,311,000. Okay, I misspoke. I was talking about the earth and that.
Go all the way down, Doug.
Okay, reconstruction highways, $801,000. Roof reserve, $223,000. Mashawd, $144,000. Public Works Services, $250,000.
I'm sorry, which one is that?
That's not on it.
Building renovations, $310,000.
You're going to tell them the bridge one? You got the bridge one?
Bridge one was 2,311.
That was the reserve reserve. That's your.
The earth was $2,531,000, right?
$2,531,000, and that, in essence, is already reserved the way we treated it.
And then the bridge?
Bridge is $1 million. Million something.
Which one? Bridge fund is $2,311,000.
You gave this
At the Bristol Hill, you said.
Yeah, and I meant bridge fund. Bristol Hill landfill is $1,167,000.
Okay.
1 acre. A little over.
Now,
No, she's not ready.
Doug, you said some of these were
we've treated the earth as a reserve fund all along. We have them coming here when there were expenditures to be made out of that.
The only one we really have right now, truly, is the Europe one, and that was set up in the contract in case of water went down or this went down, that we could continue that and fix it right away, because if you didn't fix it, you're using up a lot of landfill, or Armstrong doesn't get the steam they need, and they might have to lay off people and stuff like that, all right?
When you do this,
Don't throw it on the garbage part.
when you do up a fund as a reserve fund, and that doesn't close, that's an ongoing fund, correct? Until you come to the point where you close it, specifically close it. 'Cause I was under the understanding on certain capital projects, when they're done, they're supposed to be closed, the money goes back into the general fund.
You can do that on capital
Or
projects.
wherever, but I mean, in other words, once these are designated as a reserve fund, they would be ongoing.
Well, you can stop, I'll stand corrected, you can stop the reserve fund every one of them, but the monies has to go into a different reserve fund.
Into a different reserve fund.
But you don't have to put money into these every year either.
But if you wanted to close, let's say the earth, if you
Sure.
wanted to close that,
Yeah.
you'd have to find one of these reserve funds to put that money in.
My understanding, yes.
Or create a new one.
Or create a new one.
Or create.
On the Mishaw, we can't touch that anyways. It's an enterprise fund.
That money will go with Mishaw. If that goes, if Mishaw ever goes, it goes with it. Mark, that's the way I have it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
You know, at the time of budget, I argued, and I still will argue, that bridges, I don't care, they have to be bonded. It's the proper business method to take care of it. Another question. I asked it a long time ago. Did we ever look into the possibility, and I've seen it written in many publications, that the latest thing on certain length bridges is wood bridges? And they last longer, and they're better, and they're cheaper. I've never had an answer. Have we ever investigated the possibility of wood bridges? I've seen it written many, many times. Maybe I can find an article and I'll bring it in, and maybe you can start looking at it. They last longer, they don't rust, and they're doing it in many, many states, but we haven't even looked into it, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, we looked at, I can vouch for the fact we looked into it a few years back now. The only reason we could put the tubes, we've taken bridges out and put the steel tubes in that, because we could do that ourselves, and we saved quite a few $100,000 by the department themselves doing it. I'm not against wooden bridges or any kind of bridge.
But if a wood bridge is going to last 15 years longer, we're penny wise and pound foolish. And I think a lot of things in government is penny wise and pound foolish.
Well, that might be, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, that's in your got but I think we,
And for 22 years, I've stated my opinion.
yes, and for 22 years, the highway, the county has run, as far as I know, you can't get any argument from anybody outside the county or in the county that the way the highway or the public works or the legislators have built roads and bridges are against it. And you can go to other places, you know.
Well, how come it's so successful in other states? Wisconsin is one.
Oh, wait a minute. How come our program we got now is so successful?
How come we got so many bridges to fix if it's so successful? Every time we talk bridges, my God almighty, every one of them falling down.
No, wait a minute. We don't take care of that part of it.
Legislator Keeney.
Yeah, all the dollars that were just mentioned here for each of these, I believe it's capital projects now.
Yes.
Is now.
All those dollars will go into the reserve funds.
Yes.
Your money locked up.
Yeah, they're locked up.
Tired in Fort Knox.
Legislator Bacon.
First question is for Mr. Clark. 6C, I'm not familiar with. Is that to spend those monies, that's just by simple majority or two-thirds?
Simple majority.
I
mean, what's your question? To spend the money out of the reserve fund?
Out of the reserve fund.
Once
the legislature has to vote, correct?
It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, that once the reserve fund is established, in order to expend money out of there, we have to come back to the legislature and pass a resolution by majority to expend the money. Now, you don't have to come back for each and every dime, but say, say for example, a bridge, the highway committee decides they're going to spend $500,000 to fix or to replace a certain bridge, and the bids come in and they're $490,000, and they have a resolution to expend that $500,000, they won't have to come back every time there's a draw on that $480,000 contract. But to expend the money out of that bridge, out of that reserve fund, has to be done by a vote of the legislature by majority vote.
So once the legislature approves up to a certain amount, they can spend up to that amount.
Right. There's a question.
Number 94 and 95, the Earth Bag House and the addition, is that also going to be included in the reserve fund or no?
No,
That's still separate.
those are specific projects.
Legislator Benchek.
I've been through a couple of presentations with Doug, Bill, and our financial people, and it's interesting to me that the reason we're moving in this direction is that we have been written up. I know two people now who call this auditor. It's always fascinating to me that when you call an auditor, how he puts one spin on it, and perhaps our officials put another spin on it. But notwithstanding, we have to do something or else we continue to be in violation, whether or not it's the exact language that he's talking about. And I love this when the auditor speaks. It's almost like a pronouncement from God. I didn't mean what I said. And well, let's get it straightened out. But I'm concerned because both of the officials have said repeatedly that we've been written up on this thing. And we always try to run a very business-like ship here. So they've made a motion now to try to rectify the problem. And so that's from one angle. And if you continue to flaunt against the auditor, regardless of how the auditor puts the spin on this, that doesn't put us in very good position with the state, with bonding and all the other business goes with it. Don't kid yourself, because we're in violation of an audit. The second part of this is, and as much as Ed and I through all these years, Ed, that sometimes we come together. On this one I have a problem because I saw it happen last fall. And in the heat of trying to get down to the final note on a budget, all of a sudden you say, hey, there's $2 million over there in the Earth Fund. Let's now make it zero taxes without the talk that went into the $2 million in that Earth Fund as to why it's there. And I think that we've always prided ourselves in our prudence in terms of not only the immediate budget, but looking down the road at what needs to be done. And I really have a problem. I don't have the problem Ed does, because I think that there are certain funds, and if you notice, these are the funds that were selected as being most appropriate. Look at all the funds that weren't. If you want to have your flexibility, hit into all the other funds, because the county can certainly do without some of these other kinds of capital projects. But the earth, as far as that's concerned, the roads, the bridges, are fundamentally the fabric of our county. And if we start saying that we can raid that, we can fall into the same trap, and I call it a trap, that legislators have done in other counties, other states, and at times at the federal level. And I think it behooves us to look down the road, as well as to look at just the budget for 1996 that we'll be dealing with in the fall. I would urge you to support it, both from the auditor standpoint and for good financial planning for this county in terms of keeping the fabric together. So I would urge you to support it.
Third, you and I agree that the time has long passed that this county should have gone into a county sales tax. I don't know the resistance from, especially the towns. I don't know whether they're going to have bake sales or 50-50 raffles in order for us to keep abreast of the ever-rising cost. We at least are the only county in this state that has the elective to go to a county-wide sales tax and have a far better financial package and a far better tax package than we do today. A sales tax takes the pressure away from the property owner. Everybody shares in it. It takes the pressure off, such as Niagara Mohawk. The last proposal, we would have saved Niagara Mohawk like $12 million a year in property taxes. And some of the dummies in this room sat there and they were having beaten their chest about, oh, we're going to give Niagara Mohawk $13 million. Well, who the hell paid for it to begin with? And if we could have helped these people with the implementation of a sales tax, we would have done an awful lot better in the financial picture. I'm a taxpayer. I don't like what I pay in the taxes. I'm going to leave here and I'm going to lose $9,100. Than $16. And I'm faced with a situation as a senior citizen on a fixed income. How am I going to pay my taxes? Do I have to sell the house that I owned for 32 years because I can't afford to have it? Maybe a sales tax would bail guys like Ed Fraudy out. That my taxes would be spread among all the people that are in this county instead of the property owners. Not only private property owners, but industry and businesses and whatever the case may be. It's about time that the people in this room began to face up to that and be men about it and face that fact.
Mr. Chairman, we're getting off. Call the question. Call the question.
Roll call. And there was a roll call vote requested, so I'll ask the clerk to read the roll, the vote.
Hanson,
Yes.
Skinner,
Yes.
Edict. Bryant,
No.
Brewer,
Yes.
Sahaski,
Yes.
Boynton,
Yes.
Weinhold. No. Frawley,
No.
Johnson,
No.
Keeney,
Yes.
Beckwith,
No.
McMahon,
No.
Murray, Warrendorf, Jarrett,
Yes.
Greenfield,
Yes.
Benchak,
Yes.
Shalfo,
No.
Hansi, Chetney,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Walker,
No.
Bateman,
Yes.
Aesthetic,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Brown, Ward,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Balcom,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Chesbro,
No.
Church,
Yes.
Buck, Tabor,
Yes.
Russell.
Yes. Votes, 651.38 yes, 392.34 no, 173.99 absent. The motion is carried.
The next resolution, number 14, is by legislator Garrett. Ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution establishing a capital plan for Oswego County.
Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Opposed. Resolution is adopted.
How many
All-
opposed?
Hands up high for opposed.
5 opposed? 4 opposed. 4 opposed.
Then McMahon opposed.
You, Jim, you opposed it too? Yeah, 5 opposed.
Do the people who voted no realize that this is attached to the previous resolution?
Next resolution, number 15, is by legislators Boynton and Jarrett.
It should be by,
No. Van Schrack and,
Mr. Legislator Van Schack and Jarrett. Is that right?
yes.
Chairman, the following resolution move for its adoption.
Ask the clerk to read the heading.
Resolution establishing time and place for a public hearing relative to local law number 3 of 1995 to adopt the retirement incentive program for the county of Oswego.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Legislator Tabor.
This is not the same state incentive that means you have to abolish the position, or it is.
It is. Yes, it is.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Wait, you had a question. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to go into executive session.
Before that, Herb, can we discuss a couple of things?
Yeah, wait, I'm sorry. I'll withdraw that.
That's right.
I thought that was...
Legislator Johnson.
I saw you in there, but
Does this include...
what are you, like basketball player lost it?
Yeah, in fact, I got a game myself, guys. But this doesn't include sheriff department? Yes, it does. What include deputies and correction officers?
Everybody.
Okay, that's not
Good.
about 57. Very good.
Legislator Crowley.
A couple of weeks ago, we had criticism in the newspapers about our practices with insurance. We looked into that at all. I'll tell you why. I know in my experience in business that there were 2 or 3 different occasions where I checked our insurance situation and found that there were other avenues. I don't mean that there is for us, but did we look into it? Are there other avenues that would be more reasonable? Or are we just renewing insurance from the same insurance companies over and over and over again without any investigation into whether it can be purchased at a lesser price or whatever? We took a pretty good lick in the papers over it.
Well, I don't know when we took a pretty good lick in the paper. Where's this lick in the papers we took?
Don't you read the newspapers
Yeah,
anymore?
yeah, I read it.
You didn't read the article about they were critical that we had 2 insurance agencies that have carried about 99% of the county insurance for years and years and years.
Who was critical on it?
Huh?
A mass of people were critical, or the paper was?
It was a newspaper article.
No.
And they were critical of the fact that the Harrington Agency and the Streeter and Van Sanford Agency had the county insurance for years and years and years, and we never changed. Have we ever looked at, on my question, did we ever look into bidding this insurance once in a while to make sure that we're on the right road?
First of all, I don't recall that,
God, you people
newspaper
must not read the
policy.
paper.
Well,
I read it.
I'd be happy,
I'd like to see it.
if you could bring it in, I'd like to see it. Secondly,
I sent it to Don Johnson.
well, I'll write it down and ask him to send
So
it
you
back.
copied that.
We're taking a look at that. And
That's
will
my
be this year, we've taken a look at it, in the past, we've had, past 5 or 6 years, we've been using the same insurance company for most of our coverage. We have changed in the past 2 years, added coverages from different carriers. But we will be looking at it this year to possibly do a request for proposals to get other estimates from other companies concerning our coverage.
That's my question. You may be surprised.
First, when we do something like that, would it be possible to set up a timetable, like at least a minimum of every 2 or 3 years that the county must review their insurance policies and have other quotes brought in?
I think that, I don't know if it would be wise at this time to set down a timetable, but I think that issue, we're gonna discuss that issue, and that issue is gonna be looked at.
Who is we?
The county administration, and reporting to the Ways and Means Committee.
Who's going to represent the legislature?
The Ways and Means Committee.
All right.
I mean, whatever we do is gonna be done through the Ways and Means Committee.
Okay. About time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move into executive session.
I'll second that. Motion has been made, seconded, to move into the 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess.
5-minute recess. 5-minute recess.
Purpose litigation. Purpose of litigation.